Eshua Leguana, Kosi Were, Awo Umlo Uto Ne Iwo, Ada Afan Bo Osi, Obatalami Itani Ebo Anilio Abane Shu. Eshu is the respected elder who flogs, confronts, uncovers fools. That one verse in Mysteries uses truth to own you. He causes scatter to feed poverty. Obatala shakes rascals to have sacrifice. The owner of warnings is the one who is Eshu. Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe, Ashe. May our Ebo reach our room. May our Ebo be accepted. May our Ebo allow what we desire to come to pass. And so we say, Ashe, Asheo, Ashe. Divine, all blessed greetings and salutations. You are now sitting live with the Divine Prince, Pan African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, Elagun Oloye Hoodoo Obeya Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan African hoodoo world spiritualist perspective, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is indeed my constant prayer, my mantra, affirmation, reverberation, reiteration, and it is my ever living reality. All as a blessing is crucial to the very foundation of my inner standing, my teaching, my walk, my works along this divine, all blessed life path and journey. It is how I, the Divine Prince, make sense out of all that we are challenged with here in our daily existence on Mother, Father, Earth. And it is my personal place of power and inner standing, the place from where I begin, the place from where I realize and crystallize all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co create my divine destiny, and I alone create and co-create my divine, all blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe, Asheo, Ashe. Greetings and salutations, one and all. Greetings, Chef Bougie. I am now sitting live with you from this beautiful, enchanted, some would say most haunted city in America, New Orleans, Louisiana, the land of my ancestors and those who came before me along this hoodoo Obeah life path and journey, passing down the great Obeah stick, along with the knowledge of the life giving herbs, roots, plants, rituals, spirits, minerals, and indeed our culture, tradition, legacy, our history, our sacred stories. Please do take the time now to stop and like, follow, share, subscribe on all platforms for which I am now available. Certainly youtube.com/voodoo Thai, V like Victor, OO, D like David, OO, T like Tom, YE, and certainly blogtalkradio.com/the divine prince. But I can be found in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Fanbase, TikTok, and all the other popular social media sites. And I invite you to join me, to interact with me, to communicate with me as we move forward in this lifestyle, in this living activity of voodoo, hoodoo, obia, indeed ATR traditions within the Pan African diaspora. And understanding that the creation of sacred space is critical and essential to all that we ever would ask, seek to do, be, say, or become in any divine moment in time space. understanding that words are not nearly enough, actions and activities are not nearly enough, but indeed some real living relationship with ourselves. And indeed, God, understanding that the Black woman is God, the Black woman is God. Can y'all hear me? Chef Bougie, is this on? The Black woman is God. And therefore, all humanity, born and birthed through the womb, the sacred womb of the Black woman, are indeed just as human. We are born God. We are not born adults. We're not born mature. We're not born divine masters, but indeed we are born human. We are born God. And so we have this illusion of a struggle in our moment to moment existence between the physical reality and the spiritual reality. Understanding that the spiritual reality is much more real, effective, evident than anything that we can ask for, seek for, can conceive in the physical, transitory, temporary, plastic, illusionary world that we coexist within. So I wake up each day, I stop sometimes several times a day and have to be reminded, especially in the illusion of the challenge, especially in the crossroads, especially when sometimes those around you, your family, your friends, your peer, your coworkers, don't see what you and I see, don't hear what you and I hear, and are consumed with the illusion of the physical, the carnal, the material, the money, the stuff, and the illusion of power attached to that, neglecting that true power lies in the spirit. And it's indeed when we're at the crossroads, truly who we are, authentically who we are, stands up, stands present in the moment. So, as a prayer, as a mantra, as a chant, as a affirmation and reaffirmation, I say it, I think it, I write it, I believe it, I memorize it, I dream it, I I breathe it in and out. I am because my creators are. I am because my ancestors are. I am because the great goddess is. I am, therefore, able to create and recreate a reality that mirrors my best interest. I am because my creators are open, receptive to all that operates for my good. In this most present moment in time space, understanding the past is just a memory, it's just a dream, doesn't exist in this time space any longer. The future is just a vision, just a dream, just our imagination, just our hopes and our wishes. It does not really exist in this present moment in time space. For indeed, the past, the present exist. The only opportunity we have to create and recreate a reality that mirrors our best interests is in this most now moment in time space. And the right now becomes every breath, becomes every beat of our heart, becomes every step along our journey, becomes every moment in our day. And so sometimes I have to stop and say, I am. I am because my creators are. I am, and remember to breathe. I am because my ancestors are. So I'm always humbled, grateful for the opportunity to share sacred space with you and yours. You don't have to be here, and I understand that. You have trillions of bytes of information that could be competing with your time and your interest right now. And that information is not lost on me. So I don't take your commitment lightly. I don't take your commitment to the information lightly. I don't take your resolution to the journey in any way lightly. And so certainly if you missed me, if you have been missing me, in all due respect, you're probably not a client, a godchild, or regular caller. Because my godchildren, my clients, my friends, my family, when I'm not here, they know where I am. And my regular audience knows if I'm not here, he's filming something somewhere in this most present moment in time space. So I've worked on 4 movies and 2 TV shows in the last 6 weeks. It's been a lot. It's been a lot on my mind, my body, my spirit, my time, my energy, my health. It's been a lot. But certainly I am forward as always. When I can catch a breath, when I have the opportunity, I'm forward here to share what spirit would have me to share, what ancestors would have me to gift on a white day such as this. History recorded that Obatala was the ruler of indigenous peoples of southwestern Nigeria when they were conquered by Oduduwa. The exact date of that encounter remains problematic, owing largely to the nature of the source of information, oral tradition. At one level of interpretation, therefore, Obatala myths represent the struggle for domination of the autochthonous groups or the aboriginal groups to maintain their way of life, their way of seeing things, their culture. But there is another dimension to this discussion. Although Dudua's image and achievements came to overshadow, and in some cases dwarf that of Obatala's role in history, the later or the latter has persisted as a deity, as an Orisha, as a Lawa, as a god, if you will, or goddess, if you will, for us in modern culture, appropriated into the Yoruba pantheon as a symbol of peace. As noted in the book History of Africa, History in Africa, 1992, it is essentially difficult to describe a Yoruba religious festival. It's not what happens that really matters, nor indeed is it important what is done. What does matter is the intense spiritual experience that can be shared even by strangers in the midst of an authentic Obatala experience. During these events, sacrifices, prayers, drumming, singing, dancing all combine to create an atmosphere, an emotional situation which allows the worshipers to come nearer to Obatala. The second day of the Obatala festival has a feature not unlike any passion play, and some of my audience is focused in on the passion play right now. There is no spoken dialogue, but singing accompanies the performance, and the entire action is danced. The story is of a fight between Ajagimo, who is the personification of Obatala, and another priest bearing the title Olunwi. Olunwi. Ajagimu is taken prisoner by Olunwi and carried off from the palace. The Oba, or king, however, intervenes for his release. He pays ransom to Olunwi, and Ajagimu is liberated and allowed to return to the palace. The return gradually attains the qualities of a triumphal procession, and the dancing of this simple story, as told at Ede, takes only a few minutes, but it is intensely moving, largely because of the qualities put into part by Ajagimu or Obatala. Ajagimu is the personification of Obatala. This is no question of mere acting. The ability to suffer and not to retaliate is one of the virtues every Obatala worshiper is said to strive to possess. There are some roads or avatars or paths of Obatala where he's seen riding on the white horse, carrying the great two-edged sword, but indeed his energy, his personification is said to be that of peace. And I'm going to make that make sense. Let's get into it. Now, as the adage goes, the peacemaker shall be favored by the gods. What is intriguing about Obatala Saga is that he is one of the few Yoruba gods and goddesses who is represented as being nonviolent. In this way, he symbolizes a rare quality, something that the Yoruba want but rarely ever have. He is one of the few Yoruba deities who stand for something non-concrete or non-material. And that's important to um, my point. That's important to my message that I come to share today about Obatala, said to be the king of the white cloth, and what that really means and what that really demonstrates in the quantum metaphysical world, our waking reality, our universe. The spirit realm is more real, more evident, more tangible, more efficacious than anything we can envision in the physical realm. But many great magical books suggest that the microcosm mirrors the macrocosm. The macrocosm mirrors the microcosm. And so, in the metaphysical foundations of the system of Fa or Ifa that we pull our scripture, for lack of better words, from our Odu, for lack of better words, in Yoruba, we know a concept as Ori, or your Godhead, your head, but your highest self, your highest evolved state of being and consciousness, the metaphysical foundations of our universe. So Obatala derived from the words Oba, translated to mean powerful king, Tala, drum roll, because some of you never heard this before, spilled extension, expansion. Together, the two words Oba Tala, king of all the saints. And we know him by many names, particularly those of us who are well read, well studied, well initiated, erudite. We know Obatala, this power, this force, this Orisha by many names. But Oba means king, T means of or belonging to, means of or belonging to, and Allah, which has been misrepresented as meaning white. So we say the king of white or the king of the white cloth would be the result, which would be easy. But if the accent for Allah is changed from the acute to the grave, another word is derived. Allah also means limit or frontier. I like expansion. I like expansion, the king of expansion. When we envision, particularly artisans and with our imagination and creators, we envision clouds and the sky, but certainly those of us who understand, we envision the cosmos, we envision the galaxies, we envision the universe, and we begin to see Obatala as an extension or an expansion of white light, white matter, white noise. And I will go further into detail as we move along. The ideas associated with this deity, Obatala, are as old as Kemet, are as old as ancient Egypt. This could be discovered that Obatala was the king of the Nile, the river Nile, and the word Allah is a form modified from the words Latur or Lur, which is a name given to the ancient Egyptians to the river Nile. Tim, the mathematician, used the same name Allah and is accredited with designing the spring off the Nile, which is called Fi Allah. For this, Obatala could mean king of the Nile in a literal sense, or god of the Nile in another sense, religiously. And so the significance of the name is much easier to interpret, much easier to understand. Obatala, much like the creator god, has been attributed with being the Alpha, or the Alpha and Omega, if you will, or the person that works with clay, or that works with mud, Orisha Popo Alamure, father of the gray beard, Obaba Arupo. The Egyptian Ptah is called Kumu, and he is described equal to Obatala in Kemet in ancient Egypt. In Felis Kamun, he is described as a potter who created man and the gods from clay. Obatala is described as a creator god who created the physical forms of humanity on a potter's wheel from clay. And for this reason, he is known as the creator of all things that exist, father of all fathers, mother of all mothers, creator of the heavens and the world below, the water and the mountains, creator of the female and male birds, fish and animal, and assigned to give life to small children, to give a soul to the body of infant children, if you will. So Kamun may have very well been the root to Obatala. And these qualities almost match verbatim from one deity tradition, certainly historic time and place, to West Africa, to the Yoruba, to much of the symbolism attributed to Obatala. And not just Obatala, many other deities within the Orisha pantheon. And it is believed among the elders, certainly many of the elders that I have worked with over the years, that Voodoo is the first organized religion in the world and has much of its root structure rooted in Kemet, but also that which predates Kemet. So we lose touch with person, place, thing, historic context, while still using certain words, repeating certain phrases, acting certain rituals and practices, much like we do in many world religions and traditions, and lose sight of the real meaning. So I like to think of expansion and contraction in metaphysics when I meditate and envision what Obatala really is. A more specific theory called Big Bounce proposes that the universe could collapse to the state where it began and then initiate another Big Bang. So in this way, the universe would last forever and would pass through phases of expansion, Big Bang, and contraction, or the Big Crunch. White noise is sound that includes all frequencies audible to the human ear, between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz, played at an equal intensity and amplitude, measured in decibels. This produces a shh sound similar to the humming of my air conditioning in the background, similar to the sound of a hair dryer, your fan in the summertime when you sleep with the windows, and that puts you to sleep. Some of us old enough to remember when the TV went off at a certain time at night and you got that white noise sound. They turned it into a horror movie, the poltergeist, and certainly played with the idea of intra interdimensional travel, intra-dimensional space in connection to white noise and white noise resources, things that produce white noise. White noise can be part of an effective meditative or nighttime ritual, which helps prepare your mind and body to sleep. Some of you like the sound of crickets. Some of you like the sound of traffic. Some of you like the sound of waves crashing, against the rock. So additionally, the steady sound may help reduce anxiety, but also lull us into a particular wavelength, vibrational consciousness, if you will, in our bodies, certainly, but in our minds, in our consciousness. White light is nothing but colorless daylight. This contains all the wavelengths of the visible spectrum at equal intensity. In simple terms, electromagnetic radiation of all the frequencies in the visible range of the spectrum, appearing white to our eye, is called white light. The spectrum of white light consists of 6 basic colors arranged in a specific order: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Although Newton understood that a beam of light of a particular color is always deviated from the same amount, he did not appear to understand why this was so. And so, within the white light spectrum, in 1665, Francesco Maria Grimaldi, an Italian Jesuit priest, conducted a simple experiment, the results of which went on to occupy the minds of several generations of physicists, including Newton and Einstein. The experiment consisted of light entering a dark room through a small slit and projecting onto a white screen. Grimaldi's objective was to test if the width of the beam was the size predicted by the light beam's geometrical path. To his great surprise, Grimaldi found that the beam of light illuminating the screen was larger than expected. Strangest of all, however, was that the light was no longer white, but become 2 or 3 rays of different colors. Without knowing it, Grimaldi had conducted the first experiment into the splitting of light. He assigned the term diffraction to the phenomenon, a term that survives to this day. Grimaldi later realized that diffraction is a phenomenon that does not only occur when light is projected through a slit. Instead, it occurs each time light strikes the edge of any object. Several scientists were interested in the effect, but none could explain it. The answer was not long in coming, however. It was Isaac Newton himself who would provide the explanation. So in 1662, Newton began his own optical experiments. One of his first projects was to construct a refracting telescope. He polished lenses and attempted to improve the instrument by getting rid of the colored fringes that would appear on the margins of his images. He did not succeed and decided instead to develop a mirror-based reflecting telescope. In 1666, during one of his optical experiments, Newton passed sunlight through a prism and split the light into different colors, like what he observed along the edges of his optical lenses. Others before him had conducted similar experiments, But Newton was the first to understand that white light consists of a mix of light rays, each with a different color. Newton also understood that white light can be separated into its components because each ray of color is deviated by the glass of the prism by a different amount. He realized, for example, the red light is consistently less deviated than violet light. As a result, Newton understood that when white light passes through a transparent medium, like air, for example, into another, like glass, its components are reflected the first time according to their color, and once again when the reemergence back into air, for example. This creates a spread of color light rays from red to violet, like the colors of the rainbow. And so this ordered separation of colored rays is known as the spectrum. The spectrum of white light consists of 6 basic colors arranged in a specific order: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. And certainly white or white light is often considered in this discussion and has a lot to do with the 7 African powers and how that subsequently end up manifesting ritually in our practice, and particularly here in the South, in South part of America, Mississippi Delta, Louisiana Delta, New Orleans, Voodoo, Hoodoo, Conjure, Obia, etc. Yet, although Newton understood that a beam of light of particular color is always deviated by the same amount, he did not appear to understand why. So more than a century would pass before another British scientist by the name of Thomas Young would provide a part of that answer. So when we consider who, or more appropriately, what Obatala is and why we symbolize Obatala through white cloth, through white food offerings, through indeed white activities, we must expand, we must transcend our present time and space and consider the cosmos, consider the universal uh, ramifications of our being. We are indeed not just dirt and clay and DNA and blood and animal nature, but born, ancestrally born from the gods, of the gods. And some would say from extraterrestrial origins, some beyond point in the universe that man and humanity and science has yet to catch up to, has yet to figure out, has yet to fully understand. So, on a day like this, not only do I like to clean the white cloth and clean the shrine spaces and powder my shrines and light my white candles and offer white food offerings, but while chanting Oriki, Obatala, and Oriki, Ori, and meditating and doing affirmations, transcending the physical, transcending the clay structure. For indeed, Obatala has no clay structure. Indeed, Obatala is spirit at its purest nature. And he's said to be father of fathers, mother of mothers, creator of humanity. There are certainly similarities to Christian religion, to Judaic teachings, to Islamic teachings in how God is described, the great creator God. And when we look at the 100 names or 99 names, of Allah, or the 100 names for God, we God the healer, God the destroyer, God the creator from clay, God the provider, God of abundance, all the names and attributes that we give to God. It is that creator God element that's universal in the Aboriginal world, that's universal in the indigenous world, and shows up in global practices, and so most certainly shows up in ATR, traditional African-based religious systems, ATR, most certainly shows up in Hoodoo, Obeya, Conjure, Root Work, Ifa, Santeria, Lukumi, Palo, Kendable, Maria Leonza, um, Shango. It shows up in all of the traditions that we still acknowledge and actively participate and practice in today. A common question I'm greeted with in doing ancestral work is, how do I acknowledge what the Yoruba say, Ojo Ose Ifa, the day of the sacred 4-day lunar ritual calendar? How do I acknowledge the day? How do I acknowledge the colors? And because of world traditions like Islam, you kneel, you bow, you pray 5 times a day. It's what you don't eat. It's what you don't touch. It's what you do wash. It's what you do cleanse. And of course, the influence of the Western world, we tend to focus on the physical activities. We tend to over focus on the ritual exactness. We tend to over focus on, I did, therefore there should be an immediate result. And Obatala reminds us to spend at least a day, at least one day of your week, focused on consciousness, focused on or read, focused on the meaning why we do Lave Tet in creolized voodoo, Haiti and Louisiana voodoo, why that's a major factor in initiating the consciousness, the head. For indeed, if your head don't allow it, no other part of your body can. If your head doesn't allow it, no other part of your spiritual body can, nor your hands, nor your 2 hands, most certainly not your 1 hand of E5, okay, can certainly handle the necessities of human life if your head doesn't allow it. And your head is not operating in balance. It's not in sequence. It's not synced like we sync our computers and the cloud and our information and our data banks. We must sync and resync with the great gods, with the great spirit realm that we indeed are. We are the universe. We are the cosmos. We are the great spirit realm. And it exists indeed, not just out there in the clouds and in the sky and in the stars and in the comets and in the asteroids, but it exists in here, within our minds. And it takes but closing your eyes and remembering to breathe and allowing yourself to relax and to stop processing, stop counting, stop remembering, stop doing the math, stop re-anticipating your bills, and stop worrying about your children or the illusion of the issue, the block, the complication in the moment. You're only being asked to suspend that for a moment. And my godchildren and many of my clients are so familiar with this, because as a technique, when we are confronted with the illusion of the issue, the block, the complication, we need a distraction. We need something else to do that occupies our time, our energy, without the creating and recreating of that which we don't seek, which we don't want as a part of our waking reality. And so there are many ways that we do that. We do it by what we say. And certainly what you say has to originate in what you think. Listen, it's real good to say, hey, good morning, how you doing? Oh, everything is great. Everything, all is a blessing, as I would say, if that's not what you believe, if that's not what's going on in here. Now, we can mask the feeling in the moment, and there's no judgment in masking the feeling in the moment. Some therapeutic circles say fake it until you make it, which doesn't mean deny it or tuck it away, but it means it's okay to breathe and focus in on your positive affirmation in the moment until you feel that, until you believe that, until you re-understand that again, reintegrate that again into the programming. Understand that ultimately the universe must respond. The universe must react. The universe is then created, therefore, from the crafter's potter's wheel, from Obatala's potter's wheel, and then I could say thus our physical realities then are born. Obatala is also rightly, wrongly, depending on your philosophy, credited with creating malformality in physical form, deformality in physical form. And the legend goes, or the myth goes, that Aji Imo got drunk on palm wine and created mishaps on the potter's wheel, and thus created imbalance and dis-ease that we now deal with as gods, it coexisting in this clay form that we all have to confront at some point, in our journey, or in the journey of those, within our families, our friends, our peer group, but our human existence. So absolutely, Hafaz, absolutely. And thank you for confirming your awareness of what I'm talking about. Yes. And greetings to Infinite One Lives. Hello, Nina Lloyd. Greetings, beloved. Craig Burns. Hello, Renee Marie. Your name is new to me, so come on in, Renee. You're so welcome. Jazzy Rich Girl Music. Your name is new to me. You're welcome. Welcome. Come on in. The Goddess Initiative, one of my godchildren. Fitness Fun Girl. Chef Bougie, one of my God family members. His whole family is a part of our family. Uh, Latirria Daniel, thank you for returning. JP Tarot, thank you so much for your consistent support. S. Marie, thank you so much, beloved. Did I miss anybody? Dark Soul Jua, my neighbor, come on in. Love my New Orleans. Love my New Orleans. Come on in, beloved. Super Sunday, downtown Super Sunday, April 10th, 2022. Downtown Super Sunday was lit, as the young folks say. Yes, indeed. If your head don't allow it, beloved, it's not happening. If your head don't allow it, that $1 million lottery win is going to go through your hands like sand, like water, if your head don't allow it. So it's okay to take time to breathe. It's okay to take time to take a white bath, to take a cleansing bath. It's okay to go through your house at least once every 4 days, you know, and wash things down in ammonia to bring freshness, newness, purity, um, a clean slate, if you will, to all things. An active shrine table is going to show activity. My people understand this. An active shrine table is going to show activity, but at least once a day, it's going to be clean. It's going to be white. It's going to be refreshed. It's going to be renewed. And certain things are reordered in the cosmos. Things are reordered in our creative space. Every time we clean a shrine table, I learned this, oh my goodness, in my early 20s. Your universe is reordered, literally. Even if you reposition things exactly the way they were before, they are not exactly positioned the way they were before. And so your universe is reordered. And in some ways, it's not a great idea to constantly move around, constantly reshape, constantly relocate. But certainly there's a role for renewal, rebirth, cleansing, seasonally, periodically, sometimes specifically for a request, specifically for a healing, specifically to bring something into fruition. But those of us who live this lifestyle, who don't treat ATR as a remedial witchcraft 7-Eleven, Burger King, uh, we live this. We don't just need it when we're trying to get something. We don't just need it when we want something. We don't just use it when we're trying to block and defend and protect from something. It's something that we operate and live in every waking moment. There's always something to be thinking. There's always something to be focused in on. There's always something to be doing, which is one of the self-empowering things that I enjoy about ATR, is the idea that the three world traditions did not give me a sense of empowerment, did not give me a sense of right now in this moment, did not give me a sense of there's something that we can do, always something that we can do today to affect change in our reality. It was always that message of in the by and by. When we see heaven, when we see God, when we see Jesus, to just suffer through. And suffering through was not working for me. Suffering through was not working for many of you. And so the idea of having something to do, always something effective to do, something always result oriented to do, is one of the things that drew me initially as a very young person, in my tweens, in my early 20s, into these traditions. And so without the pillars, if you will, of which Obatala is one, no matter what path of ATR you are operating in, Obatala is present. That need for white noise, white light, quiet, silence, peace, serenity, tranquility. And again, not just out here. We can turn off all the power, we can turn off all the sound, but if the voices are still going on in your head, if the conversation is being held in your head, if the judgment is still happening in your head, if the critiquing and picking it apart is still happening in your head, then you're operating solely in the left brain and you're not operating in spirit. We need our left brain to count, to measure, to do science, to think, to analyze. But we need our right brain to be intuitive, to be emotional, to fly, to create, to imagine and reimagine. And so they work in unison. The reds and the blue colors work in unison to create the violets, the amethyst that we seek to operate in our seventh chakra house. Some of you understand I'm speaking in more than one language right now. So the white light that is Obatala, the white light that is your clear quartz crystal that's able to catch every ray in the spectrum and thus be refracted to meet our individual and unique needs. Greetings, Reem Works, aka Joe Cherry. Greetings, beloved. I appreciate you. Yes, indeed, all the way from Atlanta. I got a lot of people in Georgia. I got some folks that had a little ceremony in Georgia this weekend and may have been surprised that some of my people were there. Divine Prince is everywhere. Yes. Respect the voodoo. My people are everywhere. But thank you so much, Reem Works. I have a great deal of respect for you, beloved. Thank you so much. Yeah, so there's always time for greetings, Tammy Muat. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. There's always time, and I'm going to start with your words. There's always time for uncluttering, for cleansing, for clearing. And when you're in distress, you should be doing that more often. It shouldn't be every 4 days. It shouldn't be a once a week. When I'm in distress, I'm doing it more often. And the act of initiation is also a symbolic rebirthing. And rebirthing is an act of distress. It is a bringing of life. It is a time for celebration and love and joy. But that baby come in screaming, beloved. That baby is not happy to be forced out of a room through the universal tube and brought into this clay existence, quite possibly again. And so it, it's an act of distress. And I won't expose the secrets, the mysteries, but some of you have been through legitimate, authentic initiations, and there are symbolic acts of distress in the process. Fasting, let's say that fasting is a symbolic act of distress. Fasting, because your body is going to scream for food, your body is going to require nourishment. And you might be healthy and strong and young and well prepared to do fasting. And young people are more apropos to fasting than quite possibly elder people. But elder people tend also to not eat as much food as we get older as we did when we were younger, also. And so that nutrition is often spent sooner and applied a little bit more directly, requiring us to sort of keep a schedule. But young folk, y'all can go a day without eating. You can go a few hours without eating. Some of you have the body reserves to accommodate fasting, but it is a symbolic, conscious act of distress. And so the illusion of distress, of the issue, of the block, of the complication has everything to do with our place in it, our understanding of it, our inner standing within it, and then how we choose to move forward. And it's a principal component to what Obatala is, and how Obatala shows up. Obatala symbolically often shows up as an elder, an aged elder. Um, Neither male nor female. Often you can't even see the physical form of Obatala in the confines of a ceremony. But we have the symbolism of the elder, the aged, the infirmed, sometimes as a symbol of someone of great age and great experience. But again, it symbolizes the illusion of the issue, the block, the complication that the athlete chooses to go through to reach a certain goal, that the military personnel chooses to go through for a number of weeks in basic training to then reach a goal. It's what someone maybe who's trying to gain or trying to lose, might subject themselves to temporarily for a period of time to reach a certain goal. And so certainly we don't, live in accordance to how Obatala lives every single day, 24 hours a day. Obatala is said to be sober. Some of you might have a celebratory drink every now and again. Obatala does not take liquor. Obatala does not smoke. Obatala does not expose itself to contaminants. And so children of Obatala, those who are crowned Obatala, those who initiate through Obatala have a great deal of protocols that they have to follow, whether you're aware of it or not. Now they might tell you, I don't drink, beloved, no thank you, humbly, and maybe they don't go into the details of why with you. But a child of Obatala is going to have many limitations in terms of how they act out in the physical. A child of Obatala will have greater liberties in terms of how they act out in the spirit realm. They'll have greater liberty and mobility in the spirit realm when acting in balance with the true nature of what Obatala is. But everyone should get a good dose of Obatala at least once a week within the confines of spirit practice. And certainly we keep Obatala alive and lit and present as much as we can, within the house and certainly within the confines of ritual and sacred spaces. Let's not over compartmentalize, over simplify, over commercialize, over appropriate, over bastardize who and what Obatala is, who and what Pata is, who and what Ojudwa is, who and what the deities are, and how they manifest in us and through us in our present waking reality. I'm always absolutely grateful for your presence and your love and support and your participation, no matter how overwhelming my schedule might seem. I'm present 24 hours a day. Email is never down. Text is never down. My Google business is never down. It's a 24-hour endeavor to live this life, to walk this path. I certainly don't envy those who are called to ministry. I certainly don't envy those who are called to be fathers and mothers of the tradition and to head houses and families and communities. Um, I humble myself to your job. I do. And so know that I'm here for you and with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can always reach me via my website, www.houseofthedivineprince.com. Divine with two I's and one E. I have a contact link within the confines of my website. Feel free to utilize it. If you contact me on social media, I'm going to direct you to send me an email. I'm grateful for communications and social media. But if it's about business, ministry is business, I'm going to direct you to email. But if it's about social love and unity and community, I welcome you in all spaces social. Thank you so much for your time, for your love, for your support, for your attendance. And I look forward to meeting you here again at high noon, U.S. Central Standard Time on blogtalkradio.com/the hyphen divine hyphen prince, youtube.com/voodoo tie, V like Victor, OO, D like David, OO, T like Tom, YE, and certainly in all spaces, the Divine Prince and Divine Prince Ty Emeka. Until next time, be peace, be love, be joy, be Obatala. All is a blessing. Ashe,